A dark shape moved slowly through deep space. It was an old scavenger ship, rusted and forgotten by time. Its engines hummed weakly as it floated near the edge of an empty star system. Inside, Captain Sarek sat in his chair, eyes scanning the black void. "Nothing here," one of the crew muttered. Sarek didn't reply. Something felt wrong. The space around them was too quiet, too still. No signals, no debris, not even drifting rocks. Just silence. Then their sensors beeped. Faint, but real. "There's something out there," the pilot said. "What is it?" Sarek asked, standing up. "A station. No heat. No power. Looks ancient." Sarek narrowed his eyes. "Bring us closer." As the ship moved, the crew leaned toward the window. A shape slowly came into view, an old metal structure, floating like a ghost. It was cracked, covered in space dust, and silent. "Scan it," Sarek ordered. "It's dead. No life signs, no defense, but, sir, there's one weak signal." Sarek turned. "What kind of signal?" "Just one line, on repeat, playing again and again." "Play it." The room fell silent. Then a voice echoed from the speaker. "Dry, broken, old. Do not challenge the humans. You will burn." The crew looked at each other. Someone laughed. Nervously, "What is this?" another crew member asked. "A joke? Some old war tale?" But the signal played again. "Do not challenge the humans. You will burn." Sarek didn't laugh. He stared at the station, eyes cold. "Humans," he said quietly. "That species is extinct." "Thousands of years ago," someone added, "burned themselves out." The pilot shook his head. "Still, that message gives me chills." "Fear from a ghost?" The engineer smirked. "We're not children." Sarek stepped toward the viewing glass. He watched the broken station. A dead voice from the past had called out, and they had heard it. "We're docking," Sarek said. "Gear up. Let's see what secrets is this thing holds." Inside the station, the air was still. The walls were covered in strange markings, half scratched. Lights flickered weakly, powered by some forgotten source. "Careful," Sarek said. "Check every room." The crew split up. Footsteps echoed through the hollow halls. One room held old weapons, human design, but twisted, almost alive. Another room had skeletons, not human. Different species, torn apart by something unknown. Then, in the center chamber, they found it a large machine still running, barely alive. A hologram flickered above it. A human figure appeared, face bloodied, eyes tired. "If you are hearing this," the man said, "then we are gone. But so will you be if you make the same mistake." The crew watched in silence. They thought we were weak. They poked us, lied, betrayed. So we answered, "Gotta." The hologram glitched, then continued. "They laughed at our warnings. They sent fleets. They came with fire. We returned it with storms. Only ashes remain." Then, the final words. "Do not challenge the humans. You will burn." The hologram faded. No one laughed this time. Sarek looked at the crew. "Download everything. Every log. Every file." "Why?" "Why?" one asked. "They're dead." "Are you?" "Sure," Sarek whispered. Just then, the station lights went dark. The crew froze. A low hum filled the air. Outside, the scavenger ship's lights flickered. "Sir, something's happening," a voice said through the comms. "We're getting a signal." "From where?" "From deep space. Very deep." Sarek turned pale. "Play it," the same voice. Echoed again, holder now. Sharper. "We warned you." You laughed.
"Oh, we're watching."
The crew didn't speak. Something ancient had just opened its eyes. Something angry. Far across the galaxy, old systems lit up for the first time in millennia. Long-forgotten codes started running. Ships that hadn't moved in ages began to hum with life. The humans were not extinct. They had been waiting. And now, they were awake. The red light blinked on the command panel of Outpost Rex-9. It was a peaceful planet. No wars, no enemies. Just farms, cities, and science labs. Children played in the sky parks, while workers studied ancient stars. Life was calm, but then the red light came. Officer Darrell looked at it with confusion. "A signal?" he asked. "Not a signal," his assistant replied. "Scanned. Something just scanned the planet." "But it didn't come from space." Darrell frowned. "Then where?" The assistant hesitated. "From inside the sun." Darrell stood. "Up. That's not possible." But it had already begun. In orbit above the planet, defense satellites began to fail. One by one, their systems shut down. Not destroyed, not attacked, just turned off. The control center received no alerts, no alarms, only silence. Then came the sound, a deep hum, low, cold, mechanical. It echoed through every radio channel, every screen, every speaker. At first, it was just noise. But slowly, words formed in the static. "We warned you." The technicians looked at each other. "What is that? Is it from the station?" "No, it's everywhere, all at once."
Then
Came the second line. You laughed. A scientist dropped his data pad. The voice wasn't loud, but it felt heavy, like it carried the weight of many dead. Suddenly, the sky turned red. Not slowly, not over hours, but in one sharp blink, the sun dimmed, the clouds boiled. From above, small dots fell glowing like sparks. "Are those ships?" someone shouted. They were not ships. They were weapons. Thousands of small objects too fast to track, too quiet to detect fell across the planet. Each one landed without sound. No fire, no boom, just a pause. Then, cities disappeared, not exploded, not burned, erased. Whole streets went dark and vanished. Skyscrapers turned to dust in seconds. People ran, screamed, cried, but nothing stopped it. A mother held her child near the fountain in City 4. She saw a bright light. She blinked. Then there was no city in the Threxian command tower above the planet. General Vosk stared at the live feed. This can't be real," he said. A commander shouted, "We have no ships responding. Our defense grid is gone. Who is doing this?"
Number.
Answer. Then another message appeared. Not audio this time. A single line of text on every screen. One colony destroyed. More will follow. This was Mercy. General Vosk's mouth went dry. Mercy. A weak signal came through from one of the last satellites. Only static, then a broken voice. "We saw them. Black ships, no lights, no sound. We fired. Didn't return fire. They just watched. Then we died." Then silence, back in the galactic core. The High Council met in panic. 12 alien leaders shouted across the chamber. "How is this possible? Who did this?" "Attack! The Threxian colony is gone." But one elder stood quietly. His eyes were old, his voice calm. "You were warned," he said. The others ignored him. The Zenthari leader slammed his fist. "By whom, the humans? They are extinct." The elder slowly turned his head. "You saw what happened." The council leader shook his head. "One attack means nothing. It could be pirates. It's a natural weapon, a rogue AI." The elder whispered, "You are making the same mistake." "Again?" one ambassador asked. "What do you mean again?" But before the elder could speak, a new signal entered the chamber. Alive. Video feed, not from the humans, but from the humans-9. The camera flew across the destroyed land. No smoke, no fire, just silence. Planet wiped clean. A voice spoke one last time. "Never challenge humans." The feed cut. No one in the chamber spoke. Even the loudest leaders sat still. For the first time in hundreds of years, the galaxy felt fear because something was awake. Something old. Something human. And it had only just begun. The Great Hall of the Galactic Union floated in the center of a golden nebula. Its walls were made of shining crystal. Inside, 12 leaders from 12 powerful species sat around a long curved table. The air was tense. One planet had already fallen. Rex-9 was gone. No one knew how. No warnings. No survivors. No ships returned. But a message remained. Never challenge humans. Still, many laughed. "This is fear-mongering," said Counselor Dracker of the Zin-3 Empire. "A ghost story with no proof." Threx-9 was erased. Shouted Ambassador Vela of the Lutrans, and the only message was human-made. "And humans are dead," Dracker snapped. "Extinct. Finished. Buried by their own war machines long ago." On the far end of the table, an old voice spoke. "Not extinct," said Elder Janner of the Katari people. "Only silent."
All heads.
Turned, Janner's skin was pale and dry. His robes were from a time long forgotten. His eyes, tired but sharp. "I was a child when the last human war ended," he said. "My people kept the records. Others chose to erase them." The room went quiet. Janor continued. "Humans do not seek war. But if they are betrayed, they do not forgive." "We are the most powerful council in the galaxy," Dracker growled. "Do you expect us to fear bedtime tales?" "I expect you to remember," Janor said, "but they didn't instead. They prepared for war." That same day, the council launched Operation Ironreach. A fleet of 500 ships, the largest in history, is assembled to travel toward the source of the human message. Battle cruisers, scout ships, stealth drones, planet busters, all armed, all confident. "Find them, Counselor," Dracker commanded, "and erase them." Kale, a young diplomat from a minor species, stood and raised his voice. "This is wrong," Kale said. "We don't know what we're facing." He was ignored. "Humans are extinct," said a Vernax general. "And if they're not, they're few. We have millions." Kale stepped forward. "You're not afraid because you think they are few. But we should fear them even if there is only one." Some laughed. Others scoffed. Dracker stared at Kale. "If you fear ghosts, boy, go hide, and the rest of us will bring peace through fire." Vote passed. 10 for war, 1 for peace. 1 abstained. Elder Jan or later that night. Kale walked through the archives alone. He searched the forbidden section-deep files locked for over 3,000 years. He broke the seal. Inside, found the red logs. Old files. Human battle records. Notes from destroyed empires. One quote stood out. "They learn, they adapt. They don't repeat mistakes. But if you hurt them, they won't stop. Not until you're ash." Kale copied the logs. He tried to warn the council. Again, but his message was blocked. All communications were now under war security. No voice of reason allowed. So Kale sent one secret message to someone unknown. Only 4 words. "I tried." They didn't listen. The fleet launched the next day. 500 ships, cut through space like blades. They reached the signal's origin on empty star system. No planets, no stations, just a cold, dead sun. "Where are they?" the captain asked. No answer. Scanners found nothing then. Power began to fail. One ship vanished, then another. No explosions, no. Wreckage, just ... gone. A scream echoed on comms. "They're not attacking. They're not firing." Static. The last message received from the fleet came from a scout ship. "They are watching us, like hunters. They don't need weapons. We die just by being seen." Then nothing. The entire fleet vanished. Back at the Galactic Union, silence filled the hall. Then came a new message. From the same unknown voice. Only 5 words. "This was your second warning." Even Draker said nothing now, for the first time. The mighty council knew fear, but it was already too late. Something had returned, and it had kept its promise. 500 ships had entered the star system. None returned. At first, the Galactic Union believed the fleet was delayed. Maybe caught in a gravity field. Maybe a solar storm. Something explainable. But then, signals stopped. All of them. No noise. No beacons. Not even black box pings. Just silence. The fleet was gone. General Saul, of the Vernax Navy sat in his command chair, staring at the dead screens. They were the best, he whispered. Nothing should have touched them. They weren't touched. His second-in-command replied. They were erased. The last known data came from a small scout ship named Eyes of Stone. It had entered the system just before the rest of the fleet, sent one short report before vanishing. The recording played. In the Union's war room, we see no ships, no planets. It's like the system died millions of years ago, but something feels wrong. The light here is strange, like it bends the wrong way. Then silence, until the final whisper. We are being watched. There. Not hiding. They want us to see nothing, because that's the trap. Then the feed ended. No explosion. No scream. Just a long, cold void. Counselor Dracker slammed his fist on the table. I want answers, he shouted. What kind of weapon can remove 500 ships without a single trace? Cale stood at the far end of the chamber. Wasn't a weapon, he said quietly. Dracker glared. What did you say? Cale spoke louder. It wasn't a weapon. It was a warning. Ambassadors whispered among themselves. Elder Jannar nodded slowly. Humans don't attack first. They observe. They measure. If they strike, it's already too late. Cale walked to the center of the room. I've studied their history. The logs you erased, the records you called myths. He held up a datapad. Humans have no equal. Not because they are the strongest, but because they become stronger every time you fight them. He looked around. They don't need thousands of ships. They don't need massive fleets. They only need time. The remaining council tried. To rally, they ordered new fleets to be built. They scanned all nearby systems. They placed guards on their capital worlds. But the real fear had already begun, across dozens of worlds. Strange things started to happen. Artificial suns flickered. AI systems refused commands. Starships dropped out of hyperspace too early, or too late. Time signals desensed. Cross sectors. It wasn't an invasion. It was control. The humans had entered their networks, their systems, their minds, in the Zenthari core world. Control Center monitored over 40 planets. It had triple-layer firewalls and living logic defense AI one night. The main screen turned black. A single line appeared. We were quiet. The second line followed. You came anyway. Then all systems shut down. Over 1.2 billion Zenthari woke. Up in the morning with no power, no heat, no guidance, and no voice from the stars. They were alone, on the border world of Valium Curies. A mining colony received a strange visitor, a human, drone, old, scarred, covered in dust. It landed without asking permission. The colonists surrounded it, weapons raised, but it did nothing. No sound, no threat. Just one blinking light on its surface. Message. A voice played in their native tongue. This is your only visit. Speak of what you saw, and your stars will go dark. The drone lifted and vanished. The colony said nothing, not even to the council. Back in the Union's central station, Cale stood by the viewing glass. Stars twinkled ahead, but now, some looked dimmer. He turned as Elder Jannar walked beside. They've already begun, Cale said. Yes, Jannar replied. And we are still lying to ourselves, Cale whispered. We lost 500 ships. What do you think they're waiting for now? Jannar looked out at the dark space. Beyond. For the third mistake, Cale's voice dropped. What happens then? Jannar's eyes didn't blink. Then.
The fire.
Cale couldn't sleep. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw the missing fleet. All 500 ships gone. Not destroyed. Missing. Just ... missing. The galaxy had seen war before, but never silence like this, and silence from humans. That was worse than war. Cale sat alone in the deep library of the Union archives. The chamber was dark, lit only by blue data screens and old, blinking machines. He was not supposed to be here. These files were sealed, forgotten, erased by order of the council itself, but Cale had broken the lock. He had to know. The file was old, very old, labeled in red, Human engagement. First contact war. Forbidden. He opened it. Lines of history spilled out in a dead voice. Year 00124 GR. The Torval Empire invaded human space. Assumed humans were primitive. They were wrong. Humans used gravity weapons to crush entire fleets. Not with power, but with precision. In 2 weeks, the Torval homeworld was gone. Another file. The Drex Coalition tried to trick humans with fake peace talks. A virus was planted. In their systems, the virus backfired. Their A's turned on them. 12 billion Drex were gone in a single sunrise. Another, humans do not strike first, but when betrayed, they do not stop. Kale read on, eyes wide. The galaxy had fought humans once before, and had paid for it in blood and silence. But the worst part was not what humans did, it was what the Union did after. When the war ended, the Council buried the records. They erased everything about the first human. War, not to protect others, but to protect their pride. They told the galaxy, humans died off in their own war. They said, they destroyed themselves. It was a lie. The truth was simple. The humans walked away. They left the galaxy, vanished into the dark. Not because they were weak, but because they didn't care to stay. And now, they'd come back. Kale ran to the council chambers. He held the datapad tight. They lied, shouted as the doors opened. The leaders turned. What are you doing here? Barked Counselor Drucker. Kale raised the file. You all erased the truth. What happened last time humans were challenged? They're not gods, Dracker roared. They can be beaten like anyone else. They don't act like gods. Kale replied, they act like storms. You can't fight a storm. You survive it. If you're lucky. The room went quiet. Kale placed the datapad in front of them. Read it. You need to know what's coming. Elder Janner stood and walked to the front. He picked up the pad and read. Then, he looked up at the others. It's all true. Gasps filled the room. Ambassadors began shouting. What does it mean? They're back. What do we do now, Elder? Janner spoke softly. We don't fight, Dracker snapped. Then what? Surrender, Kale replied. We remember. That night, in secret. Kale met with Elder Janner. They were not alone. 6 others joined them, representatives from smaller systems. Distant colonies, forgotten worlds, they called themselves the Rememberers. Their goal? To find the rest of the truth. To warn the parts of the galaxy that were still in the dark. Because the humans were not starting a war. They were correcting a mistake. One the galaxy made long ago, and time was running out in a cold asteroid belt far from the core worlds. A signal burst to life. It was old, human made. A beacon from the past, a voice began to play. If you're hearing this, then it means we returned. We didn't want to, but you gave us no choice. It's time we won't ask for peace. We offered it once. You chose pride. Now, you'll see what's buried in our memory. Now, you'll remember us. The beacon shut off. All listening stations that picked it up immediately failed. Somewhere in deep space, aboard a human warship long thought destroyed, a woman stood before a large star map. Her name was Captain Arlen Voss. Human. Alive. Unforgiving. She smiled coldly and whispered, They forgot. But we didn't. Behind her, the ship's engines began to roar. It was time. Time to show the galaxy what humans had become. Time to teach them the cost of forgetting. The message came from nothing. No planet, no ship, no life. Just space. Cold, dark, and silent. Space, but it was there. A signal. Weak. Broken. Old, it echoed across systems. Slipped past listening stations. Jumped from one star relay to another. And then, it reached Earth. In the deep bunkers beneath Luna Base, alarms blinked red. Unknown signal. Origin uncharted. That's all it said. Commander Rhea Lin, head of Earth's Deep Space Intelligence Division, stared at the screen. The message wasn't from any known race. Not from Earth. Not from allies. Not even enemies. It was older than Earth's oldest satellites. And it wasn't meant to be heard by anyone still alive. But someone had heard it. A technician played the audio. At first it was just noise static. Clicks, low hums. But after cleaning it up, a voice emerged. Not human, not machine. Something else, a whisper, slow, strained, as if spoken with fear. They woke it. We ran. We thought distance would save us. But stars burn just the same. The room fell silent. What is it? Someone asked. No one answered. They ran the signal. Again, this time the whisper was followed by something else. Coordinates. Far beyond known space. Beyond even old deep exploration charts. A black zone. No suns. No planets. No movement. Nothing. But the warning, that's when the doubts began. Was it real? A trick? An old relic from some war long forgotten? Or something else? Rhea didn't believe in ghosts, but she believed in threats. And this signal, whatever it was, had passed through secure layers Earth kept hidden from even its closest allies. That didn't happen by accident. We need eyes on that region, she said. A probe was sent. It was fast, silent, hidden. It never came back. The signal continued, unchanged, looping the same. Words again and again. They woke it. We ran. Another probe was sent. This one with stealth shielding, advanced scanners. Self-destruct in case of capture. It lasted 7 seconds past entering the coordinates. Then, nothing. Blackout. Its last frame showed. Something strange. Not a ship. Not a structure. Just space. Warping, bending, like something behind the stars was moving. No. Breathing. That was when Rhea made the choice. She sent a crew, 3 humans. 1 AI. A stealth-class vessel named Dagger-7. They were told to observe only, no contact, no transmissions. In and out. Simple. But Rhea knew it wouldn't be simple. Dagger-7 entered the void 5 days later. And then silence. No signal. Darkness, but on the 6th day, a transmission came. Not from the ship. Not from the crew. From the same coordinates. It was the same voice. Only this time, it added one more line. We warned you. Now it watches again. Every system on Earth received that message. Military bases, civilian satellites, deep space, relays, even abandoned stations on Mars. And for the first time in 100 years, Earth held its breath. The stars had whispered something old, something forgotten, something angry. And now, it knew humanity was listening. The ship floated in darkness. No stars, no planets. Only silence. Captain Alira stood on the bridge, staring at the black void outside the window. Her crew waited quietly behind her. Something was wrong. They all felt it. This part of space was empty, too empty. They had followed a strange signal. It had no known pattern. It came in pulses like a heartbeat. It repeated every 13 minutes, always the same. At first they thought it was just noise from a dying star. But the signal was too regular. To clean, now they were here, Sector 094, far from any colony or patrol zone. This space was marked restricted on most star maps. But no one knew why. The data was deleted from every public file centuries ago, and yet the signal had started again. Something was calling, or warning. Alira spoke. Scan again. Wideband. Everything. The ship's scanner officer, Rilo, tapped his console. Lights blinked. A low hum filled the room. Scanning, Rilo said. His voice was tight. He didn't like this place either. The results came back. No ships, no stars, no radio chatter. Nothing except the signal. Same pattern, Rilo said. 30-minute loop. It's not random. It's not natural either, said Mira, the science officer. This was made by something or someone. Play it again, Alira ordered. The sound came through the speakers. Thump, thump, pause, thump, thump, thump. That same strange rhythm. It felt wrong. Like a forgotten language, trying to speak. Suddenly the lights on. The ship flickered. Everyone looked around. Nothing was damaged. No impact. No power surged. Then the signal changed. A voice spoke, static first. Then words. Low, Broken, not human. Turn back, not for you. The voice cut off. The bridge went quiet. What was that? Rello whispered. Play it again, Alira said. But her voice was softer now. They played it, again and again. Same voice, same broken warning. Turn back, not for you. Where's it coming from? She asked. Unknown origin, Mira replied. It's not from a planet. It's coming from empty space. It's impossible, Rello. Said Mira didn't answer. She looked scared. Alira turned to her crew. What do we think? Relo shook his head. It's a trap. This place is dead. That message. It's not a welcome. It's old, Mira added. Really old. The signal has been bouncing around in this void for centuries. Then why did it start again now? Lyra asked. No one answered. Then, something new happened. The stars blinked on. One by one, not natural stars, but strange red points of light. They weren't there before. They hovered in the distance, glowing dimly, like watching eyes. Those aren't stars, Mira said. The ship's system flashed a warning. Gravitational shift detected, Rilo gasped. Something massive is moving out there. Alira looked out the window. Shapes, big ones, moving slow in the dark. Not ships, not meteors. Something ancient. Back us out, she ordered. Now. The engines roared. The ship turned. But the signal followed them. The voice came again louder. Last chance, leave. Suddenly, the void was filled with red light. A wall of energy burst open behind them, like a rip in space. From inside, something began to crawl out. It was massive. Mechanical, but alive. Too many limbs, too many eyes. A thing from before stars were born. Everyone froze, Mira whispered. This is why they marked the sector restricted. They weren't hiding it from enemies. They were hiding it from us. Lyra gave the final order. Jump anywhere now. Rello didn't argue. He activated the emergency drive. The ship vanished into hyperspace. Just as the thing in the void reached for them, the last image the crew saw before the jump was the creature's eyes, countless watching, waiting, the warning. Wasn't a trap. It was a message, and they almost didn't listen. But others might not be so lucky.